Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Note Closer. As always, Scott Carson here today. Man, it has been a busy morning already. Everybody's rocking and rolling today. We had a busy last couple of days. We had a couple of our new fast track mastermind students coming in. We had Sherry, Dale, and Matt and Kyler coming in. And just really enjoyed spending a couple days with those guys, getting things rock and rolling for them. I think they're going to be quite successful right out of the gate. They're all successful people in some sort of fashion in real estate right now, and are really taking heed and taking action on things already for the note business. So for those that don't know, we do have our fast track training, which that includes people coming in, them plus a partner or spouse, coming in, spending 3 days with me in Austin here, and just really kind of spend time doing I like to say a Vulcan mind meld with them, really going through where they're at currently, but then also, okay, let's put a business in place. Let's take a lot of time and help you customize what you can accomplish in your business, because everybody's a little bit differently. We spent a big chunk of time going through a lot of different ways for people to really capitalize on the market as note investors. And so what I thought I would do today on this episode, along with the next couple days, is really kind of give a brief overview on a couple of things, the 3 F's of note investing. As I like to say, the find, fund, and flip. And yes, there are different people out there have the flow and the fixing. Look, I'm a big believer that really everything you buying the asset, finding the asset is the first thing. I think what's the thing that unites all of us together is that we're looking for deals, and you can't raise capital, the second F, funding, without having deals first. And of course, you can't have an exit strategy without buying a deal. I mean, you can look and make bids all day long with the first F, but if you don't fund anything, so you're sure as heck not going to have any flipping, as I like to say, or the exit strategies that go along with that. So today, first part in this 3-part series is all about the finding of non-performing notes. I know I've got people all across the country that are listening to this, watching as well. So we're excited. Hopefully they'll ask some questions, or as you're listening to this in your car or at work or the office, things like that, we're watching this on a replay or listening to this on a replay, I highly encourage you to drop me an email at scott@weclosenotes.com, or if you'd like to, pull out your smartphone, text the word notes to the phone number 72,000. That's a great place for you to kind of get started. It'll send you a video link so that you can watch about 40 hours of video training skills and some other stuff that we've done with our coaching stuff. But like I said, I thought, what a great way. It's been a while since we dived into the 3 F's on the Note Closer show this morning, so I thought I'd spend a little bit of time with you today just talking about the first F, because it all starts with deals. It all starts with finding assets. And I've already had a couple of phone calls this morning with a couple of students that are out there working on a trade. We've got an unscrupulous asset manager trying to pin people against each other. And the beautiful thing was, when you have a network of things, it doesn't work very easily to have that happen. You can have people that are communicating back and forth, and you find out, oh, hey, this guy, I found some stuff out, and back and forth. But let me take it back a step. Let's talk about kind of the basics. If you're looking for assets, the first place that you're going to go, obviously, and I'm a big believer in this because we have done it. There's basic sources of most assets that you'll find out there where you can find deals on a regular basis. One being straight from the banks. The banks are the first thing. Different real estate hedge funds, investment companies is the second one. All right. That's the second spot that you're going to find deals for the most part. Now, let's talk about banks, because that's honestly where all this begins, is at the bank. Do not let anybody tell you that you can't buy direct from banks. Okay. There are guys out there, there's educators that have been doing this for a while, and say, oh, you can't buy direct from banks at all. That's not the case. You can buy direct from many banks out there. All right. Because what we focus on here is buying institutional debt, not buying owner finance debt, not buying second liens. We're only buying institutional first liens. Okay. It's an important thing to keep in mind. Now, institution doesn't necessarily have to be a bank. It could be a lending company. It could be a large company that's, they're originating loans with their private funds and then sell them off the secondary market. Those are a couple things out there. You could have a fund that's bought a portfolio and carved it up, kept some for themselves, and looking to sell some of the stuff off. There are a variety of places, but if you're going to be reaching out to banks on a regular basis, there's a couple different things you want to keep in mind when you're doing that. Okay. First off, you're not going to call the local bank. You're not going to go down to the local Chase, Bank of America. And I know I've said this before, but we have a lot of new listeners across our network with our different radio stations and podcast listeners and everything out there. So big thing to keep in mind, you're going to be reaching out to banks, primarily regional banks, primarily banks that are probably lending in a couple states. They have a footprint of a couple states. You're not going to be reaching out to the one-off branches, the banks that have 1, 2, really less than 5 branches. The reason for that, everybody, is they're going to take a lot of extra time in underwriting their assets, underwriting their loans to begin with. They're going to take a lot of time to make sure it's usually a paper lending. They're not going to be doing a lot of the subprime or even the Alt-A stuff that you see. Not the bigger they get, yes, the more they'll do. But the smaller one-off branches, that doesn't mean you can't find individual deals. I know I've had students like, I know the local bank president. He always calls me up when he's got something to default. That's great. That's phenomenal. My approach is different than reaching out to your local bank, your local one-off branch. If you have that relationship, you play golf, you went to college together, whatever, that's great. But what I'm talking about is mass marketing for real estate investors, not the one-off branch. I don't want to do this business from wherever I'm located. I don't want to, that's a great relationship of that one person, but it's not a business sustaining type of relationship for a lot of people. Okay. You want to have multiple resources, multiple deal flow. And that's why we like to use a couple online sources to help identify assets. Now, the first and foremost one that we're a big fan of is Distress Pro by Brett Palumbo. Distress Pro, the bank prospector, phenomenal software that goes out, checks the FDIC.gov quarterly reports that these banks are putting in, looks at their ratios, and then identifies the opportunities there that may on banks that may be looking to sell, or they build their reserves up to move the stuff off. Great tool. Brett does a great job with the software and that stuff, but being able to use it, the training. His experience. Brett's just a phenomenal guy, and I'm proud to call him a buddy of mine. There is a cost to that, obviously. And there is, I will say, a pothole, okay, is the best thing. If you're an over-analytical mind, or you're an engineer, no offense to engineers out there, but a lot of people overanalyze before they pull a trigger. And it's very easy to do that with Bank Prospector because it gives you so much great information on specific banks. It's also very nice that we'll also reach out and look on LinkedIn, see if they can't track down somebody in the special assets or secondary marketing departments for you to reach out to. That's a great service to have, okay? What you have to realize, though, is you keep diving down the rabbit's hole on a specific asset, you may never call any banks. So I like using Distress Pro and Bank Prospector there at Distress Pro with Brett as my second favorite thing. Now, a lot of people are using the first thing, which is great. My first favorite thing is using laneguide.com. Lane Guide, great service. Costs you about $165 a year. You go to the website, just get the online access. You don't need the CD. Online access that tracks who's bought who. Why is that important? Why Scott, would I want to buy something that tracks what bank bought what bank? Well, because a lot of times they give you the interior numbers or internal numbers to the special assets departments, the large institutions, and also the portfolio lenders. This also allows for you to pull a list of banks that are lending in your state or banks that have offices in your state that you can reach out to. It also allows for you, it's got a great different variety of search engines, whether you're looking for properties, residential, commercial, or different lending types. Like we had Matt in here this weekend who's like, I want to buy an airplane. I said, great, here, you jump on Lane Guide. Let's find banks in Florida that are financing aircraft loans. He's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So it's got some of that kind of cool breakdown stuff like that. It's relatively cheap. It also gives you a lot of other great interiors like payoff amounts, second trust deeds. If you're looking for commercial notes, it's a great way to look as well too. So I like to use that to build a list of emails, phone numbers, names, and then I like to pull out my shotgun and really kind of blast the asset manager's emails. Blast it all off, okay? Gotta love that noisemaker. So I take that list, send an email blast out, and I start looking at who is opening my emails. Now the list, you can pull a list of roughly 700-800 names in your top 5 or 10 states relatively quickly on Lane Guide. And then I like to cross-reference that list with Distress Pro, especially when I send an email blast out to see who's opened the email. Okay. So once you get somebody who's opened the email, then I like to take it to the second level. Hey, let's jump on Distress Pro, see who's looking at what, or see what their numbers are, the ratios as well. So, and then I also, here's another thing to help me find assets. I will jump over to LinkedIn with the asset manager's name and information that I pulled from the Lane Guide, or even Distress Pro too, and add a connection on LinkedIn. I add connections all the time. I'll reach out and try to find that person, the person in charge, the vice president of secondary marketing, the vice president of special assets for that bank, that lending institution. That's what I look for. And then I also will just jump on LinkedIn and just do a quick search, special assets or secondary marketing. And I'll look at the thousands of people they give me, and I'll just start connecting with people. And of course, I think it's great to add a little bit of a blip in there, what you're looking for. Hey, Steve, see that you're VP of special assets at East West Bank, whatever it is, Bank of the Carolinas, whatever. Would love to talk to you, see if you've got anything on your books that I could take off your hands. All right. Buy from our portfolio. Something simple. Now, one of the things that we have implemented that's worked a lot, worked pretty well for us recently, is actually including a short 2-minute or less video with me talk about what I'm looking for, just a brief video introduction. It's helpful because it adds a little bit more personality. It's a little bit of a touch basis versus just sending an invite and a quick message. Now the person gets to see who I am. They get to see WeCloseNotes.com. They see the logo behind me. They see that they might entice them to click on my profile and then go look and check out everything we have in our profile. So that's a nice thing to keep in mind too, is if you're going to be contacting banks on a regular basis, you need to make sure your LinkedIn profile is complete and up to date. Now, if you're working full-time in another JOB, that's okay. Just add a spot for your real estate stuff. Most of us that are buying houses or bought a house, that's the biggest investment most people's. So I would put the date down that you've been a real estate investor since you bought your first house. Some people would say, oh, that's kind of fibbing. For most people, it's not. I know we've all got to start somewhere. You got to realize that the asset manager that's got 30 years of business had to have his day one as well. So utilizing LinkedIn is a great resource. It's a free resource. You don't need the paid version unless you want to really start connecting with asset managers. Using Lane Guide, $165 a year roughly. I think there's a discount if you use Inverse as a discount code. And then Distress Pro, I think it's $700 to $1,000 a year, but great training, great resource lists and stuff like that too. So you can go from the free to adding a little bit more focus, and then to be very, very focused with that great magnifying glass that Bank Prospector uses. Now, some of the other things that you want to keep in mind when finding assets, other places you can look at. I like also to track down mortgage bankers. Why mortgage bankers? Why not mortgage brokers? Well, mortgage bankers often have a line of credit with larger lending institutions that they're making loans off of. And I'm a big believer, and I've seen this in the past, not only our company, but other people that I've worked for and people I've learned along the way and had a good pleasure calling friends in the mortgage industry, that they'll have warehouse lines or assets they have to take back. And this has happened over the years. They make a loan, and unfortunately the borrower goes in default the first month or the first 6 months or things like that, and it's a scratch and dent loan, or it's now a non-performing loan for a variety of reasons. Either they've lost their job, the tax appraisal has come back increased on a new bill, so their taxes are a lot higher than they expected, so they're in default that way. Different things to keep in mind. So I like to reach out to mortgage bankers that have stuff on their warehouse lines that may be looking to get rid of. And you can jump on the National Mortgage, the NMLS website, the federal website. A lot of states use that for track your licensees. In Texas here, we're very lucky that the Texas Mortgage and Savings and Mortgage Lending Department will list literally on the front page for free. Yes, Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending website for free, top right-hand corner. Gives you an opportunity to click on a button to download the whole full list of licensees in the state of Texas. People licensed to do business in Texas. That doesn't mean they're all in Texas. All right, everybody. A big chunk of them are outside of Texas that are got a license with the state of Texas to lend here in the Lone Star State. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it's a pretty good list. You download that list for free, it's going to have roughly a ton of connections on there. You're going to have over, I think, 3,500 connections on there. Now, you don't need all those connections. Some of them are like financial advisory firms, or some of them are insurance companies, some of them are loan processors. All right? You don't need those. What you need to keep on that list is delete it off, but keep your mortgage brokers, licensed mortgage bankers, and then also your licensed servicers department. Now, some people would say, Scott, you just said I don't need mortgage brokers. Why are you keeping a big chunk of the list? I keep that in that list, and they get part of my marketing, because oftentimes you'll have people that are mortgage brokers, but they also have a different company they're dealing with, a mortgage banker, and they may be lending in other states. So I keep that list in there, that extra 1,000 plus people or whatever, as part of that email database that I've downloaded. Oh, and that's the beautiful thing. Yes. When you download that list, it gives you the company name, their company address, phone number, fax number. I don't know who uses a fax anymore, but it's there. But also the email address of usually the principal or the person in charge of licensing for that institution or that company. Now, that's not the secondary marketing manager, it's not the special assets manager, but at least you have a direct phone number and an email address that you can reach out to, say, hey, I'm trying to track down the person in charge of your secondary assets or your special assets. Okay. And the beautiful thing about that is it's a pretty good hit list. I mean, you get an email list. Why wouldn't you want to send an email blast out to them? Okay, so let's talk about this. And we do a lot of this in our virtual workshops too. We literally will walk you through step by step in our virtual workshops. We do this with our note buying blueprint training as well. Hey, how do you find these lists? They're really valuable. I mean, it's all about contacts, everybody. You don't have to have a database of asset managers to be in this business, but when you get into it with our training, our coaching, stuff like that, boom, here's what we do. I mean, that's the thing, everybody. People can sit there and tell you, oh, you're not going to buy from banks. Yeah, you're not going to buy from banks if you've never bought from banks before. You got to have some coaching. You got to know what to say, what not to say. And there's a whole script aspect of what you've got to do and what you want to say and what you don't want to say. All right. So when you're talking directly to asset managers at banks, when you've got this list, I think the biggest benefit that you can do is just go ahead and plan to go ahead and schedule like 5-6 months of emails. Now, when I say that, that may seem like a lot of work. Oh my gosh, how often am I going to email them? Once or twice a month? I mean, you literally log into your MailChimp account or into your Infusionsoft or whatever CRM tool you're using, something, so you can track who opened and who didn't open, and upload these lists. If you're on Lane Guide and you downloaded 1,000 names, numbers, and emails, great. You might want to split that up a little bit. What do I mean by splitting that up? Maybe the Lane Guide, taking your list and splitting up between 2 or 3 size lists. So with 1,000, you got like 300, 400, and 400 or whatever. 300, 300, 400 contacts into 3 different lists and sending the same email to all 3 of them. But the reason you split the list up like this is if there is a larger number of bad emails or you get some unsubscribes, you're not going to have your list killed. Now, hopefully you've been emailing out. You've got a CRM tool or email service provider that you've been using for a while. It's kind of seasoned it that they're a little bit more friendlier if you upload a list and you get a lot of slaps on the wrist. Okay. Now, the thing to keep in mind, if you're starting a new MailChimp account and you're sending out these lists, MailChimp's probably not going to like it with you importing a lot of big lists of this stuff. They probably want you to upload some of your personal contacts and send some emails out back and forth. So this is part of why we tell people marketing is essential to be able to do this. Now, you could just start dialing for dollars, pull this list off a Lane Guide or pull this list off the Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending and dialing for dollars. I don't think that's a bad idea. When I started over a decade ago, that's what I was doing. I was literally dialing for hours every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 50 to 100 phone calls, 10 to noon or 2 to 4, 2 to 5 in the afternoons. I would do that 2 to 3 days a week when I was doing this full time back then to begin with, because that's really what I had. I could pull a list and I could dial for dollars, and I could send an email out. But I wouldn't send one email, one phone call, one email. I wait for my emails all together at the end of the day, especially if I got people on the phone. I'm dialing for dollars. Yes, it's a tedious chore. But if you know the rules, know the ratios, you can use those ratios to help motivate you to be a better person. Now, let's talk about emails versus phone calls. I think the first thing you should be doing is if you pull this list together, and I'm just going to say the thing that you've got something you've been using to email out in your real estate marketing career already, okay? Send an email out. I wouldn't send an email out Monday. I would not send an email out on Friday. I'd send an email either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and pick a time. I like Tuesdays at 11 a.m. And then I also, 48 hours later, I'll send the same email to the list that didn't open the first round of emails. And there are some people like, well, Scott, isn't that sending the same email twice to the same people? I'm like, yeah, but if you use a MailChimp Infusionsoft account, you can see who did or did not open that email. So they didn't open it. You're not really hitting them a second time. Where there's, oh, I got the same email twice. No, you don't send it to the same people that opened it. You send it to people that didn't open it, or didn't click on the email. And you send it 48 hours after the first time, at least, at a different time frame. So if you send it at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, you can go in on Thursday and send the same email, hit replicate on either MailChimp, on your MailChimp reports, or just hit renew, or just go into your report and say, okay, I'm going to send this email to those that didn't open it. Send it out at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock on a Thursday. You get what I'm saying? Opposite times. If you send it in the afternoon, send it in the morning. If you send it in the morning, send it in the afternoon. Okay? But give them 48 hours. If they don't open the email in 48 hours, they're likely probably not going to see it, because it's going to either get buried in their stuff. Now, you never want to send it from an email address that starts like info or contact us. I've had a few people reach out to me and say, oh, hey, my email is info at my, You need something that's like Scott at We Close Notes. Yes, we have an info at We Close Notes email, but we don't use it. That's the first sign when you send an email out, when you have spam filters and things like that, these large institutions, they're looking for that stuff like that. And then it'll go directly into their spam folder. So it doesn't help. It doesn't help you at all to have an info at whatever. Make it your name, first name, last name, something. Don't put contact us or support at. Those are the first identifiable emails that are basically spam. So don't use that. So always Scott at We Close Notes, or whatever your email might be, Laura at Silverham or whatever. Okay. So send an email out Tuesday, send an email out Thursday. The reason you do this as well, if you send it out at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, you'll start seeing, and you can go in the afternoon, you can see who's opened your emails already. You send it at 11, come back, start dialing for dollars Tuesday afternoon at like 2 o'clock, 2 to 5. Start calling the people that opened your email. Well, Scott, isn't that just kind of crazy? Are you serious or not? How often do you get an email and then somebody falls with a phone call and you're like, whoa, this guy or gal is serious? That's the whole point. They're serious about your business, or you're serious about your business. Then henceforth, the asset manager is like, oh, they are serious, because this is what I like to do. If you can, send an email, follow up with a phone call a couple hours later. All right. And you can be running reports to see, oh, hey, and hit just one button in MailChimp to export your phone call list. Start dialing for dollars in that. You make 50 phone calls, you'll probably talk to a dozen to 8, 20 people. It's about somewhere between a 20 and 4% success ratio of making phone calls. You'll probably get a hold of several people that have stuff available, and hopefully they'll send you a list. It's all about dialing for dollars. And with the numbers that we're seeing, with default rates being up across the country, we'll talk about that later on this week as well. Some of the reports we're seeing, their banks are starting to look for people to buy. I guarantee they're starting to have those conversations as default rates are starting to inch up a little bit. They're excited to have people call. Oh, really? You're a buyer. What are you looking for? All right. And that's the important thing to do. Know what you are looking for. We'll cover that later on. But anyway, you just send an email out to your database. You're going to see probably first round batch somewhere between a 16 and 20% or more open rate, which is pretty good. Most real estate open rates are 17, 18%. You send an email out, 11 o'clock. You're making phone calls that day, phone calls on Wednesday as well, morning and afternoons with those that have opened it. Great stuff. And there's no way you're going to knock out 500 phone calls in a 24 to 48 hour period. All right. Just not. You're probably going to knock out 100 phone calls in a day is really the best that you can do. That's still 200 phone calls. Now, the beautiful thing that I like to do is if you talk to somebody, keep a notepad there next to you. You're down for dollars, talk to them. Obviously send them an email at the end of the day, at the end of the call period. You're calling 2 hours, and in the last few minutes, send an email out to those that you talk to. It's a nice little touch. Hey, Steve, it was great talking to you. Hey, Rosie, it was great talking to you. Hey, Stephanie, it was great talking to you. If I appreciate you for forwarding me to the right person, or I appreciate you, here's my personal contact information, just in case you have anything that comes across your books. All right. Now, I would jump on LinkedIn, send them an invite to connect with them as well. Same thing. Hey, it was great talking to you. Look forward to connecting with you. Simple things. It's like you touch them first with an email. You touch them secondly with a phone call or a voicemail, and always leave a voicemail, and let's leave your phone number twice. Some people are like, oh, I called, I don't want to leave a voice message. Why not? You just wasted your time. They don't know that you called them. Always want to leave an impression of some sort, okay? Because 80% of sales comes after the 5th contact, and most of you aren't even getting to the 2nd or 3rd touch point before you give up, okay? So you follow up, like I said, once again, send an email, phone call, follow up, maybe a personal email with the people you talk to, and then a LinkedIn connection. Connect on there, all right? That's 4 touches, really, within your first 72 hours. Now, are you going to be able to do this for your whole list? No, because not your whole list is going to open it. But the beautiful thing in all the years that we've been doing this is there's been very little crossover. Yeah, there's a few people that are buying from the same sources. I get that. They're saying somebody contacted me the other day. It happens, but it's a lot less than like a wholesale dealer or a distressed postcard list that people are sending out postcards with a pre-foreclosure list. It's not nearly like it is. And the beautiful thing, finding deals, you're going to get some deals. The whole idea with this is you do this heavily for a little while. You'll eventually have enough sources that are sending you stuff on a regular basis that you don't have to go out prospecting as heavily. You don't have to put so much work into it, because you do this for a couple months. You read seriously about doing this 90 to 120 days. You'll have enough connections, enough contacts that you'll start having a hot list. And that's the thing I want to get to. I think a lot of people, and I've talked to people that I narrowed the list down to just 100. I'm only going to contact 100 banks in my local market. I'm like, well, you can't do that because that's only 100. There's thousands of lending institutions that are lending in your area besides just the people that are in your neck of the woods. Okay. Well, I know those 100 people are really good. Okay, great. But they're not sending you stuff on a regular basis, so expand it out. So that's the whole point, where we can send an email blast out to our database now, so we've been doing this for a while, and people send us lists. Or my favorite is when I get an email like, oh, can you please quit stalking me? And I'll even send an email out every once in a while. Hey, are you the right person I need to stalk, to track down? And it's funny because a lot of people, oh, no, you need to call this person, or you know this person. And I'm like, oh. Even my emails, I ask, if you're not the right person, can you please direct me to the right department, or forward this email on and copy me on it as well? Trying to help them get stuff off their books. So it's kind of funny that way. You laugh, but that's the truth. Who do I need to stalk to get this, get on your buyer's list? And people will crack up about that a little bit. But that's the thing, is it's just, I have people that will contact me on a regular basis. Like, hey, yeah, I've seen your emails. I finally have something I can send to you now. I've seen your emails. I finally have something to send to you. So that's the thing. That's why I always like, hey, it doesn't hurt to follow up with as well. Now, the thing is here, let's take this back a little bit. Send your first email out Tuesday at 11. Second email out at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Then I send one final email that fall on Tuesday to the third list of those that still have yet to open my email. Okay. I'll get it, like I said, somewhere between a 12 and 20% open rate the first time. I'll get somewhere between a 6 and 10% on that second email of open rates. The third email is going to be somewhere between like 2 and 5%. That should roughly give you somewhere between 20 and 30% open rates of people that have, opened your email. That's a hot list. Okay. Now, those that have opened my email, I'll save those in a separate contact list of, I'll just say asset manager opens, opens. And those that haven't opened, then I'll do the same thing every month to those that haven't opened. And what do you have on your books? You're just trying to touch base. And you'll probably squeeze another 5% over time. Some people aren't, they're off, they're not seeing it. It's okay. But those that are clicking on your emails, those who've opened your emails, those are the ones that you're going to spend really the next couple of weeks dialing for dollars, banging the phones. Okay. And you're going to have the best amount of luck with this because they've opened it. They're going to get the extra touch. It's a beautiful thing. And then the second month, the same thing. Hey, and then you're sending an email out to your asset managers that opened or your asset managers that haven't opened. I mean, a lot of people still just send an email out to the whole list, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that too. Okay. Nothing wrong with that as well. It's just that with a lot of those that have opened the email the first time around, you may be able to put something a little bit more custom. Hey, last month I reached out to you, told you I was focused on this. You have kind of two lists, the opens and the unopened. Yes, the unopens are not going to be a high hit rate. Eventually, at some point, you're probably going to want to pull those out of your email database. But if you have 5,000, 6,000 asset managers, and you narrow that down to say 1,000 or 2,000 people that open your email, still a ton of contacts, especially if you're reaching out to them and you're connecting them on LinkedIn. Not everybody's going to have a LinkedIn profile. Not everybody's going to answer. You're going to leave a lot of voice messages, but still, everybody, this is what the 1% is doing. Most people that want to get into real estate, they're not investing. They do the bare minimum. What's the bare minimum I've got to do? And I'm like, you shouldn't be asked. That's the wrong question. Not with the bare minimum. What's the max I can do to set myself apart? Because that's what's helped us set ourselves apart with WCN and me becoming the note guy across the country in the last decade plus is just our dog determination. Following up, email. I've got 6 to 8 months of emails already pre-written that I spent a couple hours a couple months ago to go through and write the emails. Okay, this is going out in January. What's going on in January? Happy New Year. What's going on in February? Hey, it's Valentine's Day. What's going on in March? Spring break. Okay. St. Patty's Day. Hopefully everybody had a safe St. Patty's Day. April, you have Easter. Okay. April Fools. It's a good one to follow up with the first year. Hey, don't be an April Fools. Get stuff off your pool. I like that. I've never used that one before. Hey, it's a happy April Fools. Let's get stuff off your pool. You guys can use that one. All right. May. What do you have? May, Memorial Day weekend, the end of the month. A lot of people looking school, kids get out of school. June. What do you have going on in June? There's basically what I'm trying to get at is there is a holiday every month that you can dive into. You got 4th of July. You got going back to school in August. You got Patriots Day, September 11th, and Labor Day. October, Halloween. November is Thanksgiving. And of course, December is Christmas. But if you just base your marketing off the holidays, hey, that's something more than what most people are doing. If you rewrote an email, that's 12 touches. That's over a dozen touches with people if you're doing what I tell you to do, with reaching out, contacting people. And the beautiful thing, why would you want to send a LinkedIn connection asset manager? Well, aren't they going to see some stuff? Yeah, you want to. Because that's the beautiful thing about LinkedIn. You can see also, if you have the free version, you can see who some people click on or where they look at your profile from. But you decide to upgrade for the premium version, you can go see everybody that looked at your profile. You can go see everybody who's clicked on and looked at things. And you'll see people that, hey, you're connected to that are special asset managers, secondary marketing managers. Why would you not want to reach back out to them? All right. So I know we covered a lot already on this episode, but I really mean it that finding is the most critical key to this business. Now, some people will sit here and argue with me and say, oh, hey, I'm not going to start contacting asset managers until I've raised capital. Why? Your real estate investors, your funding sources want to see something solid. They want to see that you have something of substance that they'll fund. Theory is great, but it all comes down to finding deals, and good deals will find capital if you know how to market. Now, this whole aspect of reaching out, emails, phone calls, posting LinkedIn or connecting on LinkedIn, stuff like that, that's marketing 101. It still works. Okay. It still works. The nice thing, you could do something a little bit more advanced. If you've pulled a list, you take your list of asset managers, mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers. As you start building a bigger database of people reaching, you may want to upload that list to like Facebook to see if there's and create a custom audience and see if they're on Facebook. Now, I think I uploaded our database. I just saw a little red fox run by the office here. Huh. For those who've never been here or listening to this, my office is on the north side of Austin here, and I look out. I have a nice big window. It looks like kind of this little man-made pond here at the office complex I have, and I see the highway, and there's shrubbery and things around this little lake, and there's been animals. We've seen foxes, and a few years ago when there wasn't so much construction, we saw some deer and things like that here as well, which is nice. But it's kind of weird to see a little fox run by. But anyway, I digress. If you take the email list or the phone number list and uploading that into Facebook as a custom audience, Facebook will look at that email that you uploaded and see if they're out there with a Facebook profile that has it attached to it. And then if that is, now it'll tell you, hey, you got this custom audience, you uploaded 6,000 people, but only 2,400 on there. Now you can market those 2,400. How the heck do you do that, Scott? Well, that's where learning marketing helps in a tremendously advantageous thing, because not only will Facebook allow you to send like posts or photos or market videos to those people, you can also do a lookalike audience, like 1% within 1% of that. And that's a smart thing to do. That will help you find another like 2 million people across the country that are those same type of features that you can market to. And you never know where you'll find other deals that way too. So another thing you can also do, which is a nice thing, is taking that list of emails, and you can go into LinkedIn and upload that list into LinkedIn, and they'll go out and see if they can't find those people on LinkedIn for you. All right. Now that's a smart thing to do. So you're doing a one-off look, taking a list, uploading it, and I just blew somebody's mind. Somewhere somebody went, oh, that's brilliant. Okay. Taking that list and adding, connecting with people, connecting with asset managers, and going from there. So that's the thing that's really, really valuable to go out and really kind of connect with people. Now, the beautiful thing here too, everybody, I highly recommend is LinkedIn is a staple in what we're doing. It's really the professional Facebook. All right. You really need to be posting things on there on a regular basis, whether it's interesting articles, maybe you're using DS News or housingwire.com or Adam Data Solutions or CoreLogic. Those are 3 to 4 different places that you can find really great articles to share on not just your Facebook, but I'd be sharing those on LinkedIn, because what you want is asset managers. You want people that are potential funding sources or they're going to send you deals. They look on LinkedIn for you. You want to make sure that they see, oh, hey, he does have something or she does have something. They are posting on a regular basis. So if you got a new profile, don't worry about so much your connections. You'll build those connections if you work through and connect your email accounts and things like that. That's an easy thing to do. But what it is, you have to show proof that you know what the hell you're talking about. Even if it's just sharing an RSS feed, that still looks more valuable than what 90% of people are doing out there. Actually, 99% of people aren't doing anything. If you want to share little videos or little things on assets and things like that, that's a really very powerful tool on LinkedIn as well. One of the things that we like to do is share our podcast episodes, the little blogs that Shannon here in my office creates off of what Podetize does for us, our podcasting production company that does most of the heavy lifting for the podcast for us. They take it and then repurpose it. And that's one of the things too. I think so many people, that's always a big surprise when people come into Austin for our fast track training. It's like, oh my God, we should let your office are a lot bigger. I'm like, nah, we're pretty streamlined. We do a lot of stuff online. We got several people that work remote for us. We can take one piece of content, say this podcast episode, and then upload it, it gets uploaded audio, and then goes out there and works our magic in the iTunes and social media aspect of things like Stitcher and Spotify and all those. But it goes across the airwaves. There are 16 AM FM radio channels across the country from Tampa to LA. That's a great thing. But also when that's done is we take that audio, the video, transcribe it. So that's running the video on YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook Live, where we live stream it right now. Hi, everybody. Was taking that blog and creating little blogs off of it and then sharing those blogs to LinkedIn. And a lot of people click on our LinkedIn articles, especially see a lot of asset managers clicking on a profile, reading what we're sharing about, and at least the phone calls and emails or direct messages from people that may have something available that we're willing to take a look at for them. So it's a very valuable tool in helping us find assets. All right. Finding assets. Now, I said briefly before, you could always just go to LinkedIn, type in special assets or secondary marketing manager, look for people. You give a whole list of people and you can connect with them and send an invite. Done that for years. If you, have a full-time gig and you're working, and you've only got the weekends or the evenings, it's hard to make phone calls. Just, I would jump on LinkedIn and send those direct messages like that. It's a great thing you can do, weekend or evening activities, sending in messages. You can pre-write your emails to go out, okay? If you're working a full-time job, you're having a harder time making phone calls, that's okay. Just leverage the time that you have, spend an hour on the weekend, an hour at night, getting the word out to what you're doing, all right? Sharing what you're doing, maybe doing a video or two to help you with finding assets. Talk about the deals you're looking for. That becomes a valuable short video that you could upload to YouTube and share that link, turn it into a private link, and then just share it to your asset managers that you email out to, or the asset managers that you reach out to on LinkedIn. There's just the whole point here, everybody, is I want you to think smart. Part of the reason you upload lists, part of the reason you send an email out is you do one activity to hit a massive amount of people, which is then leads into the one-on-one conversation. The days of old where you're going to make one phone call at first to talk to one person before you send an email, honestly, is not smart. It's the old way of doing business. You don't want to do that, all right? You want to make sure that you're making some money and working smartly, all right? And making sure that your ideas and things that you're doing are really kicking butt and taking names, and you can maximize your time. You don't have to make note investing a full 40-hour a week, 50-hour a week thing like some people do. You can stretch, you can leverage yourself. And we are very lucky, very fortunate to have a lot of our students that are still working full-time. They're doing this, but they're also maximizing time once they do become full-time to do what they want to do. Maybe they're only making phone calls for the first month because they make enough relationships along the way, or they do it once or twice a month to doing that. And last year at this time, we were wrapping up our banking blitzkrieg, where we had 25 people who came in and started dialing for dollars. I would give them lists off the Lane Guide. I would give them lists off the Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending list. And they would then provide their call logs back to us. We combine them together. It's a very powerful tool. If they went through it and completed it to 4 weeks, they got that list. Those that flaked off didn't get anything. But those that got the list have hopefully been using it to make some things happen. Now, what's funny, it's extremely funny, is I am planning a few of my emails into that banking blitzkrieg list to see for those that are going to use it, if they were using it. Some people use it, but it's a very small marginal aspect of people using it on a regular basis. I think it's such a valuable tool. We use it on a regular basis, and that's part of the reason we're seeing different deals from different people in different parts of the country on a regular basis. So that's, finding deals is not as difficult as you would make it to be. People say, oh, you need $5 million to get started, or bankers won't talk to you because you're brand new. That is not the case, everybody. That is not the case. And this kid, I say kid, was dialing for dollars at 30 years old, knocking out 50 phone calls a day in a 2-hour period. And one of the most valuable things. And don't just get discouraged. Please don't be one of these people who said, oh, I called banks once and nobody talked to me. Yeah, when did you call them? You called them late in the evening? You called them on a Friday? The reason you don't call them on Monday or Friday, Monday they're the busiest. Friday, they're probably gone half the time, or they're trying to get ready for reports. Okay. The only time that I would call outside of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, either 10 to noon or 2 to 5, I would call Thursday nights, maybe the third Thursday of the month at 5 their time. Because oftentimes they might be staying around in the office a little later to work on their quarterly reports or their monthly reports to send to the board or whatever. And the gatekeeper, their assistant, may be gone for the evening at 5 o'clock. So you've caught them where the phone rings, you pick up, get on the phone with them briefly, and go from there. All right. So this is not a difficult business, everybody. It's doing a lot of the same thing over and over again, but it's cheaper. The only thing that I've talked about so far that would cost you anything would be Lane Guide, $165 a year. And if you ended up buying Distress Pro, that's going to be a little bit bigger investment. But even if you don't have that money for that, you can use Lane Guide, dive in, or just jump on LinkedIn and start pulling those connections. Jump on the Texas Savings and Mortgage Lending website. Heck, go to FDIC.gov website yourself and start looking at quarterly reports if you want to dive into that. That's a little bit more complicated. But if you ain't got nothing else to do, if you do not have anything else to do, those are some easy activities that you can do to help maximize your time to get it. But I'm a big thing, pull out that shotgun them all with an email blast, and then start following up with phone calls so that open your email. And you'll be surprised. Doing it consistently, that's the biggest thing you have to realize. Plan on this taking you 5 to 10 weeks of consistent activity, and you'll be set up for the rest of the 12 months. All right. You won't be fighting with other investors for low-hanging fruit. You won't have to go and try to track down people that are overbidding, overpaying, or people that come putting asset managers against hedge fund guys are putting bidders against bidders. Like I talked at the beginning of this episode, there's shenanigans going on in the industry, and you have to make sure that you're dealing directly. And what's the most valuable tools that you can have is to make that stuff happen. It's just basically, hey, you know what? Move on to the next one. And I'll tell you right now, not every asset manager is going to have 1,000 assets for you to take a look at. But if they have 1, 2, 3 every month, and you're the only person they're sending a list to, that's a really nice place to be, everybody. That's a great way to find deals direct from banks. The banks that have these assets, it's going to be cleaner paper. They're going to know the story. It's going to be cleaner assets. All right. Versus dealing with stuff that's been sold and sat around for a while. So I encourage you all to go out and take that type of action, to go out, reach out to banks directly. Yeah, we are at March right now. I guess it's basically spring break roughly this time of year. You know, you hold your success in your own hands. Nobody else does this within the note and business. The note side guys, all comes down to finding assets. And if you want to be like the majority of the investors out there that are just waiting for the low-hanging fruit and then complain and bitch and moan when they don't find anything, that's fine. You can be that. You should probably go do something else, though. But there's still a ton of distressed debt out there. There's still a ton of things that are available out there. And we didn't even get into the whole subprime niches and things like that. You can jump on Scotsman Guide and take a look at. We didn't get into pulling up default rates or going to the assessors' websites and seeing, or the county clerk and seeing assignments of mortgages has been filed in different counties and seeing who's buying and selling mortgages. There's a whole other advanced tactics that we do as well to help us find buyers and help us find sellers of assets as well. So I wish you all good luck. Go out and make something happen, everybody. And trust me, it all starts with the first F. And find is not a bad 4-letter word. It's a good 4-letter word. And you'll be dancing if you're reaching out and you start seeing feedback happen. Sometimes people send emails out and they get immediate contact back. So other times it just takes building a little bit of list. But do yourself a favor. Don't overthink it. Kiss, baby. Keep it simple, silly. And pull your list, email it, follow up with a phone call or LinkedIn guide. And those are 3 basic staples right there that will usually help you finding more deals than your competition. So go out and make something happen, everybody. And that's the first F. And with that, we'll see you all at the top.